Okay, now you're on film. Go.
Okay. Yesterday I signed the agreement, brokerage agreement with the client. Yeah.
Beautiful. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
All right.
Good
Ebony,
news.
Ebony, talk to us about what you did yesterday.
So yesterday was absolutely amazing.
Just a
I
little louder, little louder.
I have a friend of mine who I've been working with for a couple months. She's about to join, she's about to be an agent. So she reached out to me and she wanted to know, pretty much what it was like to be a real estate agent. So last minute, I reached out to Bill and I'm like, hey, Bill, she's invited me and some of her classmates on, just to talk about what it is to be a realtor. So last minute, I had Bill, I had Robin Lemon, I had Martha Lococo. I always say her name wrong.
You
I
got
had
it.
Donna Patrick. Who else did I have? Bill, Robin, Donna,
There's also an
Alicia
agent
Lawton,
from, yeah, Alicia Lawton, and there was an agent from North Atlanta on there too.
and another agent from North Atlanta. And literally, we poured into these girls and told them everything about KW and how I met each one of the agents on the call. At the end of the day, they absolutely loved it, and it was just like I love the fact how KW pulled together last minute and embraced me and showed me what family was about and how we can bring others into KW. And this is what real estate is about. It's just like you pour into others, you feed into others, you make sure that there's enough training, there's enough knowledge, there's enough everything to make these girls, once they do join a brokerage, be successful. And it was amazing. Like, I know I'm not articulating myself right, but
You are.
okay, KW, y'all showed up and showed out. Both of them reached out to me and they want to join.
Nice.
I know Donna's son was on as well. And
Awesome.
I have no doubts that he'll do his thing. And it's so funny because my two people and Donna's son, they ended up being in they had the same teacher for their pre-licensure course. And
Right.
I just think that as a new agent, there is not enough information beforehand about what real estate looks like. And you get that generic cookie cutter, oh, well, you're not going to need anything on a test, so just get past the test and that's it. And real estate is so much more than that. So I feel that it was my due diligence to show these ladies this is what real estate is. Like, we embrace each other. We're here to help each other. We want to see you grow. We want you to learn. And by choosing the right brokerage, all of that will help you become successful. So yesterday was amazing to me.
I'm super proud of you. I'm glad I could pop on for a couple minutes, and thanks for that opportunity. We all had that moment in our lives where we, pressed the button on the computer that paid our $450 to get a to start pre-license, right? And when that moment happened, we had this dream that like we were going to be this great business owner and have all this impact and probably make some money and have control of our time and all that. And then no one talks about any of that in licensing school. And so you get out, like these women got out yesterday, and they're kind of towards the tail end of this, and they say, where are all the people that are going to show me how to do all this? I haven't learned anything about how to run a business in pre-license. And so I thought that was a wonderful opportunity to hear a number of stories. It's great that there were some leaders on the call, and great that there were some, not that the agents aren't leaders, but some agents as well, that were able to share their stories. Great job, Ebony. Great job.
Can I just comment on that too?
Yeah, please.
Thanks to Ebony organizing that little call, it gave my son the idea. He was already thinking about creating a study group for the state exam, but now he wants to do the same thing with his study group after they pass their class test. He would like to arrange a call with agents so that his study group can hear it firsthand before they take their state exam.
Well, I'd love to be a part of that too, if you'll invite me. I think this is a phenomenal idea.
Yeah,
I love it.
Awesome. Thanks, both of you, for sharing that. All right, Tawantis, you got two stories that just blew my mind this morning. Share it with everyone, please.
Yeah, and Ebony, that is amazing. Congratulations for that. I think everybody, when we do this, need to hear them kind of stories anyway. So just to piggyback off of what she was saying, you guys, she mentioned about the purpose and why we do a lot of stuff, right? So both of the things that happened to me recently were a result of our cold calling. The first one happened on last week. I didn't get a chance to share, but last week I was making some cold calls. And as a result of the call, I got on the phone with someone who was elderly in her 80s. And she mentioned to me as I probed some questions, her sister had just passed. She wasn't feeling well and she had not eaten in some days, right? So what I did after I got finished with that call, you know, sometimes it's not necessarily literally about who or what business that we really are there to make, but I think that like when we commit ourselves to intentionally do the things that we say we want to do every day for our business, it's so many other ways that it can show up. So me and one of my accountability partners that afternoon went to her house, brought her some food, and was able to have a conversation with her just about like what's going on because she wasn't getting help, and get her with Meals on Wheel and a couple of other things set up for her as a result of that. That was one thing. And then yesterday, my heart was just overflowing, you guys, because I had another call that I talked to someone, and another sister had passed. They own the property, right? Several siblings, but no one has done anything to the property as far as making sure that it's upkept and things like that, right? And so as a result of that, I literally told her, she was telling me, I'm nervous, I'm frustrated, I don't know what to do with this probate situation. Now, mind you guys, I'm not a expert in probate, quote unquote, but what we are an expert in is whatever we can do. I really have a motto about like, if I could go and figure it out, I don't have to know how to do something. I will figure it out, right? So I'm talking to her and she doesn't know what to do. So I'm on the phone being the confident, like, I know we gonna figure it out. I'm gonna come pick you up. I'm gonna help you. I'm going to take you to Fulton County myself. So she is a little handicapped, but I went over there, got her yesterday. We had to go through a lot of changes just to make the long story short, you guys. But I took her up there. We found out what she needed to do at Fulton County. So this family doesn't have to have the state to take the sister's property that has been paid for. But as a result, now we're going to be able to get the paperwork, do the petition correctly. I learned from it. But the most important thing is she is super excited about being thankful that she answered a call that I'm just on there probing about what we do every day with real estate. So just wanted to share that. It was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, that made my heart happy.
Yeah, like we were talking about this morning, it's not, I mean, I don't even want to bring up money when it comes to stuff like this, but even if you never receive a nickel from all of the karma that might come your way.
I was going to say, it's karma. It'll come back to her.
You have been paid 1,000-fold in the way that it affected your mind, you know? And we've been paid 1,000-fold for having heard your story. You know what I'm saying? That's awesome. That's awesome. So congratulations, you guys. This is not just, it's not about slinging homes 24/7, right? It's about making an impact on our community and helping the people that need help, right? Sometimes that results in a paycheck, sometimes it doesn't. It doesn't really matter. We're out there trying to make an impact on the community, and there's a lot of people that don't have access to a lot of the resources, that don't have the education they need to make appropriate decisions. They don't have a whole lot of financial literacy. Like, that's part of our job, is to help people build wealth through real estate and make sophisticated financial decisions when it comes to real estate. So applause to everyone, you guys. That's awesome. Okay, as I said before, slinging homes. All right, guys, we're going to end just a couple minutes before 9 today, so everyone gets an opportunity to go to Gene Rivers' class today. Today we had on the calendar to deal with objections. And to be honest, I know Diane pointed this out yesterday, both the listing and the buyer presentation, 30 minutes is short. I would say no more than an hour, but 30 minutes is a bit tight. So what would have probably happened in both the buyer and the seller presentations are some objections, right? Or some additional questions, some additional concerns. remember what we said about objections the other day, which is if they have no intention of working with me, if they're not impressed with the presentation or they were not, matching up or whatever, they're probably just going to, no, Ty, I don't believe it is. I don't believe it's too late to register. If they have no intention of working with me, they're probably just going to politely say, okay, well, thanks for coming over. We'll be in touch, right? And then I'll never hear from them again. If they're asking me questions, so tell me why you deserve 3%, or help me understand what you do to market the home, or, talk to me a little bit more about your Facebook strategy or whatever. It's because they're considering hiring you. Okay. And they're just looking for a little bit more clarity on what that experience or what that relationship is going to look like. So don't think that when you get objections, it's something that you did wrong. It's actually the opposite. It's actually, okay, this person in front of me is getting closer and closer to hiring me. And I just need to simply resolve a couple of these last minute questions or concerns. And then it'll be obvious that it's time to move forward. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, so there's only gonna be a couple of objections. Okay, they have their own script and we have our own script. Okay, so oftentimes it's, I could probably try to spit out a handful of them, but it's generally about concerns about commitment, right? It's, I want to interview other agents. It's, why are you different from other agents? It's commission, right? And it's essentially some type of fear about the process. I was talking to one of our agents today or yesterday afternoon. She's not in productivity coaching, and she was asking me this question about getting a buyer pre-qualified, and the buyer wouldn't talk to the lender, like just would not call the lender. And I said, what's going on? And I said, did you ask why they just won't make the call? And she says, they're afraid of getting rejected. So this woman's fear of getting rejected is so big that she won't even ask the question, right? Sometimes we're helping with some real basic stuff. You know what I mean? So I don't know why that came into my mind. I don't know if that has anything to do with objections or not, but we really have to help our people get the knowledge they need to be able to make the decision. When they're asking questions and it may sound like objections, again, it's not because they don't like you, it's because they want just they're seeking a little bit more information, a little bit more confirmation that you're the right person. So does anyone have any objections that they want to throw out? We can make this an open forum. I can kind of give you some ideas on how to respond to it. This is a good framework for handling an objection, okay? You repeat the objection. So that way they hear that you've heard them, or they know now that you've heard them and you're listening, right? Then you would say, other than the fact that that you're not completely satisfied about the list price, is there anything else that you have questions about that we should spend time on before we get started? We should spend time on before we get started, right? Lots of we talk here, right? We're a team, okay? And then the person would say, no, I think that's the only thing. Okay, so that means that as soon as I resolve this price thing, we get to work together. So we want to repeat it and validate it. We want to isolate it, and then we want to address it, and then we want to close. Okay, so that's kind of the pattern, the framework that we're going to be working around. All right, so somebody throw out something and let's talk it through.
I have one.
Okay.
So I'm working with a woman who is getting divorced.
Okay.
And I've worked with her, but not the spouse. And I know from dealing with people who are pitted against each other, he's going to view me as on her side.
Okay.
So when the time comes, when it's appropriate, how do I address that?
So let me ask a kind of a mechanical question behind the scenes on that. Like, who's in charge of deciding who sets the price, or who determines who the realtor is going to be? Is that part of the divorce decree?
Not yet. They're in the process. But
So
they wanna
I think I
sell
would just be
before.
overly nice and overly happy to both parties
Yeah.
until
Oh, yeah.
you know what influence you're going to have, right? Because a lot of that's probably not even going to be up to you, unfortunately. But I'll give you the other side of that, which is I never made the client feel that I was the one picking the price. Okay. That's actually not really my job. My job is to gather the information for the decision makers and then make sure that the decision that they make is reasonable.
I think it's more, I think there will be pushback on choosing me because I have a relationship with this woman and not the spouse.
So what does he want out of the transaction? The most money, right?
Yes,
So what does he care who brings them the most money?
this is true.
I mean,
So how do you present it in those terms?
well, they both have the same goal.
Yeah,
Okay, so I'm here to achieve your goal. This is your goal, and this is also your goal. So what's the problem?
correct.
Your goal is to sell this home quick so you don't have to live with this person anymore for the most money. Is that correct? Yes. Your goal is to sell this home quick so you don't have to live with this person anymore for the most money. Is that correct? Yes. Okay, so even though y'all hate each other, you're on the same team.
True.
Am I missing something? So they have the same motivation.
They do. I've just I've just experienced before where it becomes a power play. It's going to be my way. And if you like this person, I'm naturally not going to like this person, regardless of what it does. It's
The
it
thing is
transcends logic at that point.
oh, I hear what you're saying completely. The thing is he may not be given that authority through the divorce process, right?
I
So
think they're wanting to sell prior.
Well, I think you just bring him into the conversation so he feels like he's part of the process.
right, say, hey,
Maybe you ask him the question, do you want to sell this property for the most money? Because that might not be his ultimate goal. His ultimate goal might be to piss off his wife or
yeah, I
ex-wife,
know that's the
right?
like I could
That's
answer
So-
logically,
more
but
of
that's
that.
true.
Yeah.
So just bring him into the conversation and have him answer the question.
Mhm.
And maybe even if you have to have a conversation separate with his wife, if you have a relationship with her, to say, hey, look, the only way we're going to get this done is to make him feel like he's part of the decision making.
Right. It's almost like you're working both parties behind the scenes. You really have to figure out what each person's motivation is. That's a great point, Diane, that he may say, well, I'd rather piss her off than have an extra 10 grand, right?
Yeah.
So like we have to figure out what everyone is trying to achieve. Hopefully they're on the same page, right? But at the end of the day, Diane's very correct. We have to help them get the information that they need and then allow them to come up with the idea of like a listing strategy, for example. So I might go to everyone and say, look, I'm going to send you guys the comps in a few different ways. Okay. I'm going to send the comps with, 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath homes with a finished basement in this elementary school. Then I'm going to send the homes between this price range and this price range in this middle school, right? Then I'm going to send you what's going on in this particular neighborhood, right? So it's not always perfect set of comps, but it's helping people understand the larger market. And then here's what we're going to do. You're going to go assess the numbers. I'm going to assess the numbers, and you're going to assess the numbers. And we're all going to write down on a sheet of paper what we think we're after, what we think is reasonable. And then we'll look at the pieces of paper. So everyone has an opportunity to decide what they believe is accurate. And I'll be here to make sure that y'all are reasonable and everyone's respectful to each other. I've done that several times where the seller would come back and say, yeah, I think we could get 200. And I said, I think we can get more. I think we can go to 215. He's like, yeah. I'm like, yep, give me a shot. He says, okay, home goes under contract for 218. Right. So like that, and then they're like, damn, that guy's good. Right. But they might come back and say 200. And I say, I'm thinking like 180. Where do you get 200 from? He's like, oh, well, this one, this square footage, and they did this and that. Okay, great. Let's listen. Maybe he's right, right? So let them become a part of the conversation. Your job is to give them the data or help them compile the data. Does that make sense? But if they are, it's got to be their decision. Like I went back. Thank you, Victoria's on the call. Thanks for posting that video yesterday of Donna and I from 8 or 9 months ago.
Of course.
That was awesome. And I went back and watched most of it. And I let Donna come up with a lot of the conclusions. It wasn't me forcing all that stuff on her. It was us having an adult conversation, her hearing what needed to be said, and then her making a decision that she was going to take action, right? That's what we have to do with our clients. If they feel like we're the ones picking the price, then they may ultimately hire the agent that picks the highest price. If they feel like we're in the kind of the team together, then it doesn't matter what the price is. The price is the price. You're picking the agent who you want to represent you, the partner. Make sense? All right, we probably have time for one more. Who else wants to shout one out? I think at the end of that, Don, I didn't ask, by the way, but I think it was just the two of us. So I asked if I could put that out there, and you said yeah. So I appreciate that too, because now Victoria has a whole life ahead of her where she thinks of time differently. That's the kind of impact we can have on our peers, y'all. Ty, were you about to say something?
I sure was. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
You know the price points that I'm shooting for. So my concern is when I hear the objective, have you sold, not the objective, the question, have you sold a home in this price range before? Ooh, and the answer would be no. So I guess that's not an objective, but
it could be. It absolutely could be. Right. You're sitting in front of a $900,000 seller, and they want to make sure that you know how to sell a $900,000 home. That's essentially what they're asking. And they said, well, have you ever done anything like this? And you would answer honestly, obviously, and say, no, I haven't, right? I would turn that back on them very quickly. I'd say, I appreciate your question. Let me ask you, if you don't mind, what is important to you about an agent? What are you looking for the agent to do, a luxury agent to do, that you're thinking a non-luxury agent would not do, right? What are you wanting to see done? Like a picture in a magazine, or like an aerial photographer, or like a special video, or like some type of fancy staging? Like, tell me a little bit more about what you're looking to have included in this experience that maybe we haven't spoken about. Because if they're like, oh, well, I want my picture in the Wall Street Journal or something, you say, we can look at that. Like, I think that's a huge waste of money, but we can talk that through. Like, I'm willing to entertain that. So oftentimes, like, they want a track record. I've mentioned this story a couple of times. I don't think she's here. Jenny has she ended up firing the seller not so long ago, but she got a listing of like a 12,000 square foot house down in Locust Grove on like 220 something acres. Okay. And the guy's like, have you ever sold anything like this before? And she says, no, but I'm going to tell you something, sir. You're not going to find an agent that's going to work harder than me. You can look everywhere. You will not find an agent that's going to work harder than me. And she looked him dead in the face when she said that. And then she stopped talking. And there was a bit of an awkward, fairly long pause, as she said. And then he said, all right, let's do it. Right? They're looking for an assertive agent. Whether they vocalize that or not, they want an assertive agent. Okay. Assertiveness doesn't mean unfriendliness or rudeness. It just means they're pushing to get what the client wants. Does that make sense?
Yes, that does. Thank you.
So look, you can handle that a lot of different ways. But first, I would try to figure out what it is they mean by that. Like, what do they think they're going to get from a luxury agent that they wouldn't get from a non-luxury agent? So it may be something silly. Oh, I want a fancy sign. Get you a fancy sign. I was already planning on putting a fancy sign out, right? And it could be something much more it could be something totally different. You just got to know what it is. But I would turn that back around and say, look, I may not have sold a home like yours before, but I'm going to tell you, there ain't nobody that's going to work harder than me. Every time you got a question, it will be answered. Every time you're nervous about something, I will help you. I will watch this contract and every deadline like you've never seen before. Okay. And it would be an honor to work with you. Right. You just lay it right in front of them.
Okay, that sounds like a plan. That makes sense. Just be upfront.
I mean, first find out what they want.
Right. Okay.
And tell them how you operate. How you operate. Okay. All right. Two quick things, you guys, about the schedule. So tomorrow, our success series will be from 12 to 1 with Heather here. She's on the she's one of the newest members of the ALC. Heather, she's got a great story. I'm hoping you can join from 12 to 1 tomorrow. She had a very, very specific goal for this year. She will hit that goal. She'll actually probably beat that goal. More than likely, she will make more money in 1 year than her husband made this year. And there's a lot of backstory to that, which I'm sure she'll share tomorrow. We're going to do the launch mastermind from 1 to 1:30 tomorrow, and then hop right into the 36-12-3, which will be from 1:30 to 3:30 tomorrow. I hope you guys enjoy the listening clinic today. I will be in front of my computer all day, so if you need anything, text or WhatsApp. And the YouTube channel is completely updated, so please make sure you're tuning into that. And don't forget to complete the survey and update all your numbers. That would be awesome. You guys have a wonderful morning, okay?
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.